Hello, and welcome to the introductory lesson on equations. We'll be starting out a new course in which concepts of equations that is common in algebra are taught. In this course, our focus will be on what equations are, with emphasis on linear equations. We will also explore how to solve equations. We will conclude by looking at word problems and graphical representations of linear equations. Let's begin. Let's begin our introduction to equations by first asking ourselves the question, what are equations? Well, equations are just mathematical statements that equate two or more quantities. For example, 3 plus 7 is equal to 10 is an example of an equation. What do I mean? We have two quantities in this equation. There's a quantity on the left and there's a quantity on the right. So if we call the quantity on the left-hand side quantities, and then the quantity on the right-hand side quantity. What this equation means is that it is a statement equating the quantities that are found on the left-hand side to quantities that are found on the right-hand side. This is an example of a numeric equation. What if we represent one of the numbers or one of the quantities on either the left side or the right side with a letter? For example, let's say y plus 7 is equal to 10. What we have succeeded in doing is converting a numeric equation, which we have here, into an algebraic equation. So this is a numeric equation, and this is an algebraic equation. Remember, in algebra, we represent numbers with letters and symbols. So here we have a letter representing a number, which we don't know, and we need to find a solution to. So therefore, algebraic equations are just like numeric equations, a statement of equality between two quantities in which some of the numbers are being represented by letters. So what are the parts of an equation? You recall that in our last example, we stated that 3 plus 7 is equal to 10. And we said that therefore that there are some quantities on the left side and there were some quantities on the right hand side. And these quantities, we call this whole equation, we call it a numeric equation because it contains numbers. Okay? But in algebraic equations, we have letters. For example, y plus 7 is equal to 10. The y is called a variable, and the numbers that we find here are called constants. The reason why the numbers are called constants is because we know their exact value and they are unchanging. But the value y is a variable because it can change. It's a variable, number one, it's unknown, and also it changes depending on situations. So therefore, in an equation we have variables and we have constants. So the constants are values or numbers whose exact value are known. Sometimes some equations they have one variable. For example, x plus 5 is equal to 10 contains only one variable. X is the variable that is found here, while 5 and 10 represent constants. Sometimes some equations contain two variables, x plus y is equal to 10. This is an example of an equation that contains two variables. One is x, the other is y. Sometimes in more advanced maths, you will find equations that contain more than two variables. But essentially, an equation can contain one or more variables. Now let's look at what the structure of an equation is. So we're going to use the example of a two-variable equation to look at the structure of an equation. So, for example, let's say the example that we used earlier, x and y. So, x plus y is equal to 10. Okay, now this is a two-variable equation. X is one variable, y is a second variable, and 10 is a constant. So here, like we said earlier, the equation has an equality sign. So the first thing you notice about the equation is that there's an equality sign that connects the left-hand side to the right-hand side. And that equality sign says something about the quantities that are found on the left and the quantities that are found on the right. So what it says is that the quantity on the right and the quantity on the left are the same, or in other words, they are equal. So this equality sign is very important when you're trying to identify equations. So if you have a statement written as x plus y minus 10, it's not the same as x plus y is equal to 10, because in this second, which I will call an expression, there is no equality sign. So it is important for us to know this very salient feature of equation. So the quantities that are found on this side of the equation are called the left hand side quantities, and those that are found here are the right hand side quantities. The equation may also contain a math operation. For example, this is a math operation. Here we've been asked to add x to y to get a value of 10. So equation, apart from having variables and having the left hand side, the right hand side, the equality sign, they also have a math operation which may be an addition or a subtraction or even a multiplication. For example, x minus y is equal to 8. This is a different example. Here the math operation here is a subtraction. Then we can also have x into y is equal to 8. Here we have the math operation here is one of multiplication. We could also have x over y is equal to 8. Here the math operation here is a division. So there are different math operations that you can find in different kinds of equations that you come across, but essentially they are in the form of addition, subtraction, division, and multiplication. So as a recap, we know that equations are mathematical statements of equality between two quantities that are found on the right hand side and the left hand side of an equality sign. And we know that equation contains variable. They may have one variable or they may have two variables. Apart from the variables, they also have constants, which are known numbers whose quantity does not change or vary. And also we looked at the structure of equations made up of several parts. There's a left hand side, there's a right hand side, which are separated by an equality sign. And also we do have math operations, either at an addition, a subtraction, a division, a multiplication, also involved in the structure of an equation. And lastly, the equation contains variables which make up its constituent parts. That's it on Introduction to Equations. Thank you for watching.